Hello out there and welcome to Public Conscience. You are on to the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMORG. PRIMORG is a civil society organization working to promote good governance, participation and accountability in Nigeria. I am Adaobi Obiabumo and I'm with my colleague Esther Bassi.
A warm welcome to the program wherever you are listening to us.
On Public Conscience, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society through the amplification of investigative corruption stories by our partner media organizations and by alerting citizens and the government to their democratic actions against it. We equally promote integrity by amplifying rare cases of the display of honesty by public and private individuals in the course of their normal activities. We appreciate the MacAuthar Foundation for supporting the production of this program.
With persistent allegations of incessant harassment, arrest, and sometimes abduction of journalists, activists, and holders of opposing views to state-backed positions, Nigeria's human rights record continues to worsen, according to a recent transnational investigation spanning 5 countries in Africa. As ugly as the situation is, the 2023 general elections, which starts in a few days, can go a long way in creating an enabling environment for civil liberties.
Today's program will look at some of the challenges ahead of the 2023 general elections and the role critical stakeholders like the media, activists, and human rights campaigners can play to ensure we have a better exercise.
No doubt, bad leadership breeds repression, underdevelopment, corruption, and much more. But the 2023 general elections present the electorate, media activists, and everyone another opportunity to make the country a better place. It is instructive to know that achieving free, fair, and credible polls does not only rest with the Independent National Electoral Commission, that's the INEC, but every one of us, hence, all hands must be on deck.
As a citizen, what are your concerns ahead of the election? How can we get more citizens to participate in the election this time? How worried are you over fears of vote buying before or during the elections? And would you sell your vote for any reason? Feel free to share your thoughts with us when we open the phone lines.
Be ready to join us through phone and text messages during this conversation. The WhatsApp phone line to send your message is 0902-265-6167, and that is 0902-265-6167. Please indicate your name and your location when sending your message. This number is for messages only.
Please begin to send your messages to 0902-265-6167. That is 0902-265-6167. The numbers for calls will be given out shortly.
If you just joined us, we are looking at shrinking civic space in Nigeria and how citizens' participation in the 2023 general elections and efforts from stakeholders can change the anomalies.
Joining us to have this conversation is the Executive Director of Daily Trust Foundation, Dr. Theophilus Abba. You're welcome to today's episode of Public Conscience.
Thank you.
Okay, could you give us a sense of how important the 2023 election is in addressing the shrinking civic space in Nigeria?
The 2023 election is very, very important because it will determine what happens to the country in the next 4 or 8 years. Usually, anyone who wins the election at the federal level, even at the state level, may want to contest for a second term. So we know that whatever we do on Saturday, that is on the 25th, can determine the fate of the country for another 8 years. And now, when you look at the issue of the civic space, in the situation whereby journalists and activists, civil rights activists, anti-corruption activists are not finding it convenient to operate effectively in this country. If we look at that situation, it means that we have to look at, the promises that the major political actors are making. We have to look at their history to know if they are the kind of character that can allow freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of association, and all sorts of freedom that are suited with democracy to thrive when they are in power. And it's not only at the federal level, even at the state level. We have recorded evidence of, anti-civil society, anti-journalism, anti-media activities at the state level. At the local government level, you have local government chairmen who don't want journalists to operate in the environment because they don't want the wrongs they do to be exposed. So this election that we are going into as from Saturday, the first leg is Saturday 25th, second leg March 11. They are very, very critical. They determine the condition and the quality and the freedom in the civic space in the next 8 years.
Okay, so you said you've recorded evidence. Do you mind share one or two so people can relate to the investigations you carried out?
Well, something happened yesterday in Lagos at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, where the APC presidential campaign took place. And when I read it, I was surprised, because there was a Trust TV journalist who wanted to go and cover the campaign. He identified himself clearly as a journalist. Trust TV was accredited to cover that event. But he was prevented from entering the venue. Not just prevented from entering the venue, he was brutalized. And those who did it were not policemen. They were thugs. And strangely, when he was being brutalized, in spite of every evidence has provided that he is a journalist or he was a journalist, the policemen were watching. They didn't lift a finger. They didn't do anything to protect him. So that is a kind of situation that we have found ourselves today. The report that I did, the investigative report that I did, looked at how not policemen now, not security operatives now, but non-state actors, thugs who are supporting some political leaders, who are supporting some, government, maybe at the state level, engage in acts that impede freedom for journalists and for civil rights activists. There are several examples of them, several instances. One of the instances that I mentioned clearly in my report was the 2019 burning alive of one Salome Abu, who was the woman leader of PDP in Kogi State. Now, up to today, there is no official investigative report to say this was what happened. What we know is that some persons were taken to court.
They were arrested.
And they were arrested, taken to court. Then all of them were released except one. And that one, he was accused of, being part of a mob. And when you talk about mob action is seen as a spontaneous action. So people are not held accountable. If there was murder, and you say, okay, it was mob action, it's most likely that, those involved will be released because you say, well, it was a spontaneous action, people did not know, blah, blah, blah. And that issue is begging for attention.
Do you have fears that thugs would want to disrupt the election on Saturday?
Well, I'll give you an example of what happened yesterday. This is just yesterday. So if at the campaign ground, a journalist can be prevented, journalist who is well identified, clearly identified as a journalist, could be prevented from entering the campaign venue. You can imagine what could happen, because the fear that we have now is thugs who have been recruited, who are supporting the various political parties or political candidates. Candidates in the election. I'm not referring to just one of them, because even in states that are run by APC and PDP, we have evidence that journalists and civil rights activists are intimidated. There is the fear that unless we come out vigorously to campaign against it and to enlighten the people against it, journalists and civil activists could be targeted. I'll give you an example. In 2021 or 2020, there was an election, an off-season election. I think that was either in Ekiti State or so. A journalist witnessed where people were being given money. I'm talking about vote buying. He witnessed it, and I mean, he recorded what was happening. And what happened to him? He was beaten up, severely beaten up, dragged to the police, detained at the police station, in spite of the fact that he identified himself as a journalist. And so, you see, if that kind of a thing could happen in an off-season election, you can imagine what will happen in a general election like this. Now, my fear is that our policemen seem not to be attuned to the fact that they are supposed to protect, the people. People, among them journalists. And that's why I like the International Press Institute. They issued a statement, I think 2 days ago, calling on, politicians not to brutalize journalists, not to attack journalists during this election, because journalists are part of the country's democracy. For the democracy to thrive, you need journalists, because journalists are supposed to evaluate what is being done and put it out to the public. It's part of, journalism, media is part of the stakeholders of whatever you call the democracy of any country. It's not only policemen, it's not only judges, it's not only those who are in the executive arm of government, but journalists have a role to play.
But some would also argue that the CSOs, human rights activists, and some journalists are also opposition to the authoritarian administration. Do you think that voting in the wrong candidate would help to further shrink the civic space?
Of course, if you vote in the wrong candidate, in the sense that candidates who don't respect the role of the media, who don't respect the fact that the media are partners in the country's democratic experiment. If you vote individuals like that, it will affect the civic space. We have also discovered that, you see, at the state level, especially at the state level, journalists are not free. Civil rights activists are not free to operate. And not only one state, in many states of this country. In many states, if you write a story against the state governor or the government, not the governor, against the government, for instance, you do a story to say, well, this budget that was made for so and so is excessive. You want to buy a phone that should cost maybe 10,000 naira, or maybe let me say 100,000 naira in the market. You are budgeting 3 million for it. If a journalist discovers that kind of thing and say, no, this is too much, you say, oh, why did you say so? You go and arrest him.
But the Constitution mandates the journalists to hold the government accountable to the people.
Section 22 of the Constitution makes it very clear that the role of the journalist is to hold those in leadership position accountable to the people. Because whatever resources a governor or the president of Nigeria uses to run the system, those resources belong to the people. It is because of the people that have access to those resources. And so if you don't want people to know what you are doing, you're actually shortchanging the people. You're actually violating the tenets of democracy. Because democracy has to do with transparency and accountability. Those in government must be accountable to the people.
Those in government must be accountable to the people. But let's take a quick break and listen to the voices of Nigerians on the street on how corruption or vote buying affects the quality of leaders who emerge after elections in Nigeria. Voices against corruption. Let the people speak.
Hello and welcome to Primark's public feedback series on corruption, called Voices Against Corruption. And we ask, do you think the corruption of vote buying affects the quality of leaders who emerge after elections in Nigeria?
If you're qualified to lead, why buy votes? That is the first question. So if you go out buying votes, first of all, you're disqualified to be a leader. If I'm qualified to contest election, I should win, because my antecedents should speak for me. That's one. Secondly, if I spend my money to buy votes, the first thing I would do as a leader is to recoup whatever money I've spent in buying votes. And that money is the money you're meant to use to serve.
So I believe vote buying affects the quality of leadership, because you first recoup your investment. Because it's like you're investing and you have to recoup your investment before you think of how to impact on the life of the people. So if we can jettison vote buying, I think we'll have good leaders in this country.
Of course, if somebody is credibly elected, the quality of the leadership will be okay. But when it's out of corruption that brought him or her to the power, you can't get anything credible from that sort of leadership.
If I receive money, I'll be forced to vote for the person who has paid me, whether he's the right candidate or not. Obviously, and ultimately, you don't get any good leader from vote buying, which is a form of inducement. And you can see what he has done to our polity. You can see the quality of leaders that we have. If you look at the quality of leaders, you will know whether they came freely or by inducement. It's very simple.
The issue of vote buying in the country, when you buy the vote, when you pay for the electorate to elect you into the office, you don't expect anything good out of it.
Vote buying affected the leadership, the quality of leadership we have in Nigeria, simply because the leaders we have today, they felt without them bringing out money, they cannot be on power. And the issue is whenever we go to the village, that is the local settings, they felt there is no way they can elected a good leader without bringing out money. And automatically that will affect the quality of a leader, because by the time you use your own money to buy what you are vying for, then before you can be able to settle down to work for your people, to work for your masses, automatically you have to gain whatsoever you spend so far on that aspect.
I think both vote buying in Nigeria is doing us harm more than good.
Primark's public feedback on corruption in Nigeria is produced with support from MacAuthar Foundation.
Before we go further, we still have with us here Theophilus Abba of Daily Trust Foundation. Is the executive director of the Daily Trust Foundation. Thank you for staying with us.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I want to get your reaction on what the people on the streets said, on Nigerians, electorates, what they said.
Well, I think Nigerians are well aware that vote buying is not good for our democracy. Because like one of the respondents said, is anybody who gives money to get elected is actually making an investment, quote and unquote. And when he becomes whatsoever, or if he wins the election, definitely he wants to recoup that money. And sincerely, his salary should not be enough to recoup that money. The president does not earn up to 2 million naira in a month, according to whatever the official salary of the president, not up to 2 million naira in a month. And you can imagine if he distributed 100 billion, to get elected. You can imagine how long it will take him to recoup that money from his salary. It doesn't happen. And that means that anybody who gives so much money definitely is going to use the resources that we have that should have been used to develop the society, that will used to provide social services, to replenish his coffers. And anyone who pays, to get votes will no longer be pricked. His conscience will not prick him if he's stealing the money. He said, after all, I paid to be elected.
And do you think that the citizens who also sold their votes would have the conscience to demand accountability from the leaders when eventually they're elected?
Well, you see, there is this slogan, this, what do I call it, advice that people keep giving to Nigerians, say collect their money and vote the other way. Sincerely, it doesn't happen. When you collect somebody's money, you cannot in all conscience vote for another person. Because even your conscience will tell you, look, you have eaten from this man. So you cannot go against, you must fulfill your promise. And so it is, it's not the right thing to do. Even if your preferred candidate is not going to win an election, it's better for you to shun that momentary pleasure, momentary advantage derived from the little money. It's like what we call Esau. Esau sold his birthright because he was just hungry for a day. Because of a pot of porridge, he sold his birthright. So many Nigerians on Saturday will sell their birthright because of the amount of money they will collect from candidates in the election, money that they will not take them maybe a week to spend.
A pack of salt and the rest of
pack of salt and maybe some wrapper, and all those things. So they will not help. The best thing is to reject their Greek gift, reject their gift, and vote the person that you know can change the story of Nigeria.
Remember that the program is interactive. The WhatsApp phone line to send your message to is 09022656167. That is 09022656167. How would you contribute to or react to the conversation? What are your concerns ahead of the elections, and how can we get more citizens to participate in the election? And are you also bothered that the civic space is shrinking, and your decision on Saturday and on the 11th of March will also either further shrink the civic space or make the civic space open? We have a call already. Hello.
Yes, my name is Apostle Osola from Mako.
Let's hear you.
Vote buying. Yes, my take is that vote buying have a very big negative effect to this our country, because anybody that seduce anybody to seduce him by buying his, when the person enter the office, he will first and foremost get the money he used to seduce people. So how I wish that the government of the day will stop all this mess, so that the electorate will vote to their conscience and vote the right person, so that we change the scenario of things in this country. Thank you and God bless you. I remain Apostle Oswald.
Thank you, Apostle. If you vote in the wrong candidate, it will lead to the civic space further shrinking, freedom of expression, freedom to participate, General Assembly, all of them will be affected. So your decision matters in the election. Hello. Your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Ernest. I'm calling from Papu.
Let's hear you. How can we get more citizens to participate in the election?
Yeah, in terms of vote buying, I think vote buying is for those that are not civilized, that doesn't know their rights. For somebody like me, 1 million naira cannot buy my vote. I've taken my decision, I want to vote. You understand? So if you say your vote, I advise Nigerians, if you say your vote, you don't have any reason to complain. Don't like the present situation now. So I advise that nobody should say their vote. Nobody can buy my vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nobody can buy his vote. Dr. Theophilus, according to Civic's rating of the civic space in Nigeria, Nigeria now was demoted in 2019 from obstructed to repressed in 2021, and in 2022 we remain at that level oppressed. What should we do to ensure that we move further up? We are at oppressed. Should we move to obstructed or narrowed civic space? Because further down repressed is closed. What should we do as citizens and as government also?
Now the fact is that those who carried out the survey, or those who came up with that report, they acted based on instances of repression of the civil space that they have seen. And one of the, investigations that we have done show that between 2019 and 2022, December 2022, about 266 journalists, had been attacked in Nigeria. I don't mean killed. They had come under attack at various levels. And we also note that civil rights activists also have come under attack. I mentioned the case of Larry Suraj, who was attacked in his home in Lagos. That was last year. He came under attack. They entered his house, packed his laptop, packed all his phones, drove away with his car, beat them up, and all this and all that. And we know him. He's an anti-corruption activist. And in several states, so we have anti-corruption activists, those who ask government, what do you do with this money, coming under attack? So to answer your question directly, the first thing is that, Nigerians must be made to know that it is their right to speak out. It's their right to express their mind. It's their right to advocate, for entrenchment of democracy, for entrenchment of freedom of expression, in the society. They have to know that the Constitution gives them the right, what they call it, inalienable right, to do some things. That is number one. Then secondly, those that are in government, those that are using the authorities that they have, to repress the people, they should know that the position they hold is just transient. If you're a governor, maybe you are there for only about 8 years. After those 8 years, you are no longer there. You no longer have those instrumentalities. You become like any other ordinary Nigerian. And then you can also become a victim of those things that you did, But for the growth of the society, for the growth of the society, in order to lead, to engender development in the society, you see, government must be ready to listen. If you are criticized, you must say, okay, was I wrong? Most times when you are criticized, if you sit down to reflect, you detect where you went wrong. You can now make amendments. The fact that you have journalists writing stories, evaluating what you have done does not mean that they hate you. They are part of the process of refining the way things are done in the society. So those in authority, those in government, must not see civil rights activists, anti-corruption activists as enemies. They're actually partners in progress.
Partners in progress. Let's take this call. Hello. Your name and where you're calling us from, please.
My name is Obi. I'm calling from Museki.
Obi, let's hear you. How worried are you over fears of vote buying before or during the election?
You asked me that since the direction of the election has been taken on, God knows my heart has been praying God will want to see a fair election. And I pray to all Nigerians who is listening to everybody's voice to come out there on Saturday to come and vote your right person. Do not sell your votes just because of you needed money to solve problems. At the time God gave us the right person on this country, person that will take Nigeria to the promised land, things will be better. I beg all the Nigerians that are listening to me at this moment, please do not allow anyone to deceive you just because of money to vote the wrong person. And I believe we'll get it right this time around. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I would say amen to that. But aside from the prayer, we need to go out on election day and ensure that we vote in the right candidate.
Of course, Adobe. So let's talk about fake news.
Esther, let me take this call before we get back. Hello. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yes, my name is David. I'm calling you right now from my command.
Stephen, are you ready to vote on election day?
Of course, in fact, my PVC is well ironed, dressed, starched.
Please don't iron your PVC. Okay, so what are your concerns ahead of the election?
So you asked, there's a question you asked earlier that I didn't even want to talk about. You were asking about what will government do to encourage voter turnout.
Yes, please.
Now, this morning I was talking with my mom, and she said yesterday she went into a bank. I don't want to mention the name of the bank, and she was so happy that just a few questions, and she put her finger in one machine, and then they just took her biometrics, and before you know it, they gave her her card. And I said, that is that easy? I said, yes. That voter card is not even a security card compared to the ATM card. But the government has refused to simplify the process of getting this thing. So that is one of the reasons why most people don't even go out to vote. That is, government is the first agent against voter apathy. Government is the first agent. So second, I say that everyone should go out and vote your conscience. Vote who you want to vote for, and don't sell your votes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Do not sell your vote. Esther, please.
Yeah, back to Dr. Theophilus. What is the media doing about fake news and the misinformation circulating out there, and what more can be done to check misinformation during electioneering period, like as we are faced with now?
Okay, the term you use, fake news, I'm one of those who oppose the use of that term, because when you talk about fake news, it's used by those in government to tarnish the credibility of stories that critical stories that journalists write. So you write a critical story against those in authority, so it's fake news, and then that means nobody should read you. Now, I think the right term is disinformation or misinformation. We encourage journalists not to use the term fake news because those authorities use it against us. Now, there's so much disinformation, spread. During this election, there's a whole lot, and people don't talk about even hate speech. So much disinformation, and you hear a lot of stories. You hear a lot of, wrong information, libelous statements, being peddled. And unfortunately, most of the misinformation and disinformation that we read come from those who work with candidates in the elections. They know that they are spreading half-truths. They know that they are spreading falsehoods. They know that they are twisting facts. They know that they don't have enough evidence for what they do, but they still spread those things out and even persuade journalists to publish those stories. I'll give you an example. Earlier this year, I think it was in January, some aides to some presidential candidates came up with a press statement which said that G5 governors were supporting Tinubu. I think that was well circulated. That G5 governors had met with Tinubu, they had to pledge their support for Tinubu and all this and all that. And we were shocked.
That's disinformation.
That is classical, evidence of disinformation. I was shocked that it didn't happen. And to the embarrassment of our editors, not only one editor, many editors, Wike, who was supposed to be the ringleader of G5 governors, came and said, I never had any meeting with Tinubu. Then even Tinubu came out to say, I never had any meeting with G5 governors.
So how did the news make its way to the media?
It was crafted. It was crafted in a manner, to present it as if the G5 governors had migrated to Tinubu so that all the people who are followers of the G5 governors be swayed in favor of Tinubu. I'm not giving this as an example because it happened practically. So for media, not the owners now, for those in the media editors, they must scrutinize every statement that they receive. They must look for evidence, verifiable evidence for whatever claim is being made. If somebody sends a press release to say there was a meeting, you ask him, where is the video? Of course, now we have almost every meeting is recorded on video. Where is the video to show that there was a meeting? If you say, okay, there was a meeting, where is the photograph to show that there was a meeting?
So journalists should go take a
You must be more critical. You must be more critical. And the other thing is that a lot of work is being done around verification. Journalists are actively verifying, information, videos, pictures, that they receive, to ensure that, look, those ones that are misinformation or disinformation are identified and propagated and identified and how do I put it now? And put out to the public. And so it's good for journalists to do more. Not just to report anything. The fact that you interviewed me does not mean that everything I say should be published. I must give you evidence for what I've said. If there's no evidence, you shouldn't publish what I've said.
Okay, but then there's been several opinion polls out there by different local and international organizations. How credible are these polls under our circumstance?
Now, when you talk about opinion polls, it's quite good because they are part of the electoral process. You have to sample the opinion of the people who are going to vote. Like now, you conducted a poll. People talked about
vote buying.
Vote buying. So you can actually say that 100% of those who spoke to you opposed vote buying, which is correct. Now, one thing with opinion polls and everything that has to do with statistics is that the method that was used in conducting the polls must be explained. So you see, if I conduct a poll within this room, I have to declare that I conducted this poll within this room. And it may be a voice poll, it must be a form that everybody completed. Then I have to say that the outcome of this poll is based on what we did in this room. Now the issue is this. when you conduct opinion polls on maybe social media, on Twitter, maybe on Facebook, you have to tell us that you did it on Facebook, you did it on social media, you did it, in the church, you did it in the mosque, you did it in the school. That is the important thing about opinion poll. You have to tell us the method. And if you are going to broadcast any opinion poll, you have to explain the method. As a journalist, you must come out to say this is the method that was used in conducting this poll. Now, what I'm driving at is this: we cannot rubbish all the opinion polls. You understand? What we can look at is their method. A method of an opinion poll that is conducted in an area where a presidential candidate or government candidate is popular, will lead to a conclusion that says that the person is supported.
So that means the statistics is not representative enough.
It's not representative enough. So one of the things you do in statistics actually is to make sure that you pick samples from different demographics. So if that is not done, the poll can be misleading. But then if you come up with an opinion poll, you must tell us the method. If you know that this guy went only to Geriki to conduct an opinion poll, the result is about Geriki. Now it's good that you have come up with the result of your poll in Geriki, but then the ideal thing to do is supposed to go beyond Geriki.
So are we saying that they are all politically motivated, the polls conducted?
Well, they are political polls. When you say, okay, well, I've won the presidential candidate, this one is winning, it's about politics. Okay. It's about, they're all about politics. But what I'm saying is that if the method is not representative enough, then it can be misleading.
Okay, thank you for
one
that.
One last question. So, why are our media houses and CSOs not involved in the conduct of political and public opinions?
No, but media houses, they conduct opinion polls. They also do it they do online, poll and all this. You see, one of the things that I'm feeling is that as a journalist, you are trained to gather information and to broadcast information. But there are people who are experts, in statistics. Now, like the NBS is the National Bureau of Statistics has expertise in statistics. The organizations that have expertise in opinion poll and conducting opinion polls of this and all this and all that. Okay. And I think journalists can collaborate with such organizations. But if journalists take it upon themselves to be conducting opinion polls, actually, they are not the best organizations to conduct opinion polls.
Okay, thank you for that. So on Saturday, so many people are focused only on the presidential election, but the National Assembly election would also take place. And one thing that the National Assembly does is to make laws. We do not want to see draconian laws. And Nigerians well informed that if they do not vote for someone who understands having a free civic space, that it would further shrink the civic space that we're talking about. We'll see more of draconian laws like what we saw with the social media bill and all of that.
Well, the unfortunate thing about the Nigerian election and maybe the electorate is that there's what we call the bandwagon effect. Is that not?
Yes, bandwagon effect.
Yes, where it's okay, we are voting APC, so it's APC. We are voting PDP, so everybody is PDP. You understand? Now, we have discovered that it's possible to vote, let's say, NNPP for president, but vote APC for Senate, and vote, let's assume, Action Alliance for House of Reps. In enlightened societies, they can make those distinctions. But in Nigeria, we have not got to that, sophisticated level of voting, where one person will say, okay, I'm voting so and so party for president, I'm voting this for House of Reps, I'm voting this for Senate. You have not got to that level. It's quite unfortunate. Is anybody who is voting a party for presidency, he is likely going to vote the same set of people across. And that is not good for democracy, because in that way, we have elected people into the National Assembly who don't qualify. And a typical example was what happened in 2015, where Buhari, was seen as, well, the person to be president. And everybody who came under the umbrella of Buhari was voted, whether people knew him or not. People were just thumb printing. By APC banning, you just thumb print. And then Buhari became president.
So the
every other person, the House of Reps, many of them. So it's a very difficult situation. But I think this is where civil society organizations need to come in to enlighten people on the fact that, you see, it is not only the president that has been elected, but the National Assembly, the lawmakers, they are also equally important. You have to be very careful about your choice of who represents you in the National Assembly. It's journalists must educate the people, civil society organizations must educate the people, even INEC, National Orientation Agency, must educate the people. But I'm thinking that for the Saturday election, it's almost too late. But, the world will not end tomorrow. We will continue to have other elections. A lot of work needs to be done. Because there are people in the National Assembly, sincerely, if you encounter them, you ask to say, how did this person get here? Because, I have an example that I keep referring to. I have a friend who consulted for a committee in the National Assembly. And he said, okay, as a consultant, he'll prepare a report, for members of the committee who are supposed to meet with maybe other stakeholders in that sector. And these people will not read the report. He will do a summary of that report. Maybe the report is about 200 pages. They will not read the report. He will press a summary of about 3 pages. They will still not read it. So whenever they gather together to discuss issues, they will say, okay, what do we say? What do we say? So he will write the question and give to Mr. A, write another one, give to Mr. B, and they will be asking questions. And it's good that they don't demonstrate clear understanding of the committees they belong to.
So how did they get elected?
Yes, it is because of bandwagon effect. Some can't even read clearly. They don't know how to read. If you ask them, give them 500-word material to read, before they are sleeping off. These people cannot make laws. Because if you must make law, you must be that kind of person who can study. That kind of person who knows how to read between the lines. Somebody who can devour documents of multiple pages, hundreds of pages, and still be clear-minded. Unfortunately, we've not been blessed with those kind of people. Only very few of them are in the National Assembly. So we're expecting that after this election, maybe the National Orientation Agency, the INEC, they must educate
So
people.
you think it's already late?
I think it's already late.
Okay, so because of our time, in 1 minute, what would be your advice to that person listening to you as we head to the poll on Saturday?
Well, my advice to them is to do one thing: vote your conscience. Vote for the person you are convinced will do those things that you value after the 2023 elections.
Vote for the person that you think would deliver on good governance, right?
Yes.
And vote your conscience. Thank you so much, Esther. We've really come to the end of today's episode of Public Conscience.
Okay, so please visit our news website, primognews.org. That is primognews.org for all the details of our reports and interviews. Visit our website, www.primog.org, to get all the information about Primog.
And you can watch our videos on Primog TV, our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to get reminders when we have a new post. We sincerely appreciate our guest, the Executive Director, Daily Trust Foundation, Dr. Theophilus Abba. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Public Conscience has the support of the John D. and Catherine T. MacAuthar Foundation, committed to building a more just, vibrant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation on its website at macfound.org.
Join us again here next week for another episode of Public Conscience, and remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Official Primog. I am Esther Bassi.
And remember that birth registration and birth certificates are both free if your child is under 18. Help stop the corruption in birth registration and do not pay for birth certificates. Also remember that you can give us information or hint about corrupt acts through our phone at 09022656167 or info@primorg.org. I am Adaobi Obiabumo. Please vote wisely. Do not sell your vote. Thank you.